This is a pretty specific video. Let's run through everything with this, how to set up Gladiator LOS. So obviously you download it through CurseForge or however you want to get it. And then you got to activate it in your add-ons, right? So there it is right there, Gladiator LosSA, PvP sound alerter. So go ahead and turn that on. And then let's go set it up. So this add-on is fantastic if it's set up correctly. Let's find out how it looks on off the rip. Okay, so go to add-ons, make sure that it's on. It's nice that it's alphabetical. Okay, so it's on. Options, add-ons, Gladiator LS. So you want to click that guy right there. Come down to general, and you want to pick when it's going to be active, right? So I use it anywhere. So if you don't want to do it anywhere, then you can do specific, whatever you want to do. I'll do it anywhere. There's only one voice right now. It's an AI female English voice. You can change the volume to whatever you want it. I don't worry about this because if you set it up, then that won't apply. So then you go down to abilities, and as you can see, by default, everything is on, and that's what makes this a crappy add-on because you have to get rid of all this crap. So this is disabled. So if it's checked, it's off, right? So we don't care about ally lockout alert. We don't care about that. We don't care about friendly interrupts. We don't care, right? We don't care about buff apply, or we don't care about buff. No, we do care about buff down. We care about buff applied. We care about buff down. And we care about cast success. So we don't care about spell casting. Now you can change this for your specs, but if you have all this stuff on, there's just way too much information. So the three that I recommend to have on are the buff applied, the buff down, and the cast success. So then down here, you can choose your category. So let's start with buff applied, right? So I don't really care if anyone's drinking. That's not that big of a deal to me. But if you want, you can turn that on. That's not going to be useful. We want to make sure that that is unchecked. Target and focus only, unchecked. That's up to you if you want that on or not. I personally don't care. This one is pretty important, so you want that on. But now, as you can see, all of this crap is on. So let me just try something out that don't work. Okay. So with it all on, this is what makes it a bitch to set up, is you got to unclick everything you don't care about. And I don't think there's an easier way to do it. If you find an easier way to do it, let me know. But for the most part, none of this shit matters. Like, it doesn't matter if they have adaptation on it. It doesn't matter. Like, I don't need to know that. I don't care if they have precog. I don't care. Right? Like, there's nothing I can do about that. Right? All this shit, there's nothing I can do about that. Like, and as your as a warrior, or as any, each class can do something about these abilities differently, right? But it really doesn't matter if a Death Knight has Pillar of Frost. I don't care if he has Pillar of Frost on. Maybe if you're like a shaman and you want to purge Pillar of Frost or something, maybe you would care. But that's not the point of what we're trying to get across here. We're trying to get across, we want to know the important things. So for the most part, everything under buff applied, we don't really care, except for the first one I see that matters, Innervate. Like, we're gonna want to dispel Innervate. We want to know what Innervate's out there. We don't care what the storms. We can't dispel this Berserk, right? We can't dispel all this shit. It doesn't matter. Like, it's not gonna affect how we go about it. We can dispel Nature Swiftness, so maybe we want to know that. But everybody's got that macro, so really you're probably not gonna get that off. But Innervate, you can dispel that, so we want to leave Innervate on. But yeah, I mean, you just go through things you can do something about, right? Like, you can't do anything about tip the scales. Like, you can't dispel it. So why the fuck do I care if you got tip the scales? I don't, right? So, this is to prevent spam. So that way, when the little girl talks, this little AI girl voice, she'll be like, Hex! That way, anytime you hear that voice, you can react to it, based on how you have it set up. So you can't do anything about Master's Call. So who gives a shit? Ice Block, boom, that's one you want to know. Icy Bait, you can dispel that. Temporal Shield, can't do shit about that. Ice Form, can't do shit about that. See where I'm getting at? You can't do anything. Ring of Frost, okay, maybe you can have that on. Hear that? See, that's a little AI voice. So like alter time, like these are all things you can't do anything about. So, but ice block you can dispel, icy veins you can dispel. You know, ring of frost you can interrupt. So that's shit that you want to know about. Fortified Breed can't do shit about that. Damn it, you can't do anything about these. Who cares? Life cocoon. You're gonna want to know when you life cocoon. You know, you can't do anything about this other shit. Weapons order, you can't do anything. So see what I'm getting at? Like you only want to check things that you can do something about. Life cocoon, you want to know what happens because you know you want to switch. So if the kill target's life cocoon, then you want to know that the life cocoon. So that way you hear life cocoon. What did she say? There it is, right there. Hear it? So that way you know when you hear that, switch your fucking target. You know what I mean? So you know, blessing and protection can be, you know, all this shit, you know, can be dispelled. You can't dispel that shit. If you can't dispel it, I don't fucking want to hear about it, right? So that's why a lot of people don't use this add-on, is because you have to go through and click all this shit 900,000 times. But if you take the time and do it, then you're good to go. You know, so you want shit that you can dispel, or shit that you can interrupt. Rupture's no longer even in the game. You know, so power infusion, you can dispel that. You know, so like things that you can dispel is what you want on. You know, things you can react to, things that you can do something about. Like, you can't do shit about sprint. I don't give a fuck if a rogue sprints. He can sprint all he wants. But I do want to know when he cloaks. I do want to know when he invasions. I can't do anything about his killing spree. I can't do anything about Shadow Blades. I can't do anything about Shadow Dance. You know, like, I know this is repetitive, but, you know, that's, even sap, I don't care about that. You're already sapped by the time it saps, you know what I mean? So, like, that's just shit. So you just want to know, you know? So when you hear, you know, don't fucking cast on him. Don't try to CC him. Don't use fucking overpower, you know, like shit that actually matters. Dark Pact doesn't matter. You know, I mean, I guess another ward maybe, but I'm a warrior, so it doesn't matter. You know, things that matter. Shield Wall, I guess that's kind of important. You know, to switch off of them. Blade Storm, can't do anything about it. You know, like who cares? Spell Reflection, that's a good one to know. Sleeping Strikes, like this, all shit that you can't fucking do anything about it. You know, so you only need Shield Wall, you only need Spell Reflection. So that's it for buff apply. So now anytime that buff is done, you're gonna hear about it. Then buff down, well, you're gonna want to know when precog is gone. You're gonna want to know when anti-magic shield is off. You're gonna want to know when Lichborn ends. You're gonna want to know when Icebound Fortitude ends. Let's see what other shit, like Blur, like, you know, Metamorphosis. You know, things that you can't do anything about, or that doesn't really affect the way you play against something. Who cares? You know, but you're gonna want to know that tree's down. You're gonna want to know that innervate's down. You're gonna want to know that that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. You know, it's just things that don't matter. Turn them off. Like all that shit doesn't matter. None of that shit matters. Yeah, aspect of the turtle. So yeah, right. So you know that is over. Ice block. None of this shit matters. Touch of Karma, that matters. Life Cocoon. There you go. That way you can hear it, so you know. Actually, Forbearance is a good one to know. Yeah, like that's, you know, like most of these things don't matter. Actually, that doesn't matter. You know, and then obviously it's your own thing. Like, if you can do something about these abilities and you want to know when it's down, then go ahead. But just keep in mind, the more shit you have turned on, you know, you're gonna just be flooded. You're just gonna be hearing, like, that's all you're gonna hear, you know, if you have too much shit on. So just keep in mind the the more things you have clicked, the more you're gonna hear that voice. And then cast success. This one really the only one that matters, and this is pretty important. The only thing that you need to have this activated for is Counter-Strike Totem. That's the only thing that matters on here. All the rest of this shit, there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do about it. So who cares if they use their mind freeze? Like, you can't stop them from using their mind freeze. Now, obviously, as a healer, like, you're gonna be juking, but you don't need this add-on to tell you that they mind freeze. You're gonna be looking for that as you're juking anyway. So just to make this more beneficial, just turn all this shit off. And the only thing, and the only reason why I even have this whole category, cast success interrupts on, or cast success instance, the only reason why I even have it on is for Counter-Strike mode. So all the rest of this shit, you just turn it off, because who cares about any of this stuff? Like, who cares about Illigan's Grass? No one gives a fuck about Illigan's Grass. You're not going to kill me with Illigan's Grass. No one cares about a prison. You can't do anything to stop in prison. You're just going to be banished for 3 seconds, and there's nothing you can fucking do about it. You know, maybe you could fade it. So maybe if you're Dispriest, maybe you would turn that on. But it's an instant cast, so there's, like, an instant cast isn't gonna, you don't have any time to react. So having an AI voice tell you that he's about to imprison, it doesn't matter, because by the time she tells you in prison, you're already in prison. There's nothing you can fucking do about it. So the whole point of this is to get to the shaman, wherever the fuck the shaman is. Like, scatter shot. Like, you can't do anything about scatter shot. You're already scatter shotted. You know what I mean? You can't do anything about freezing trap. You're already freezing trap. So, like, that's the downside of this add-on, and why it has such a bad name, is because no one wants to sit here and do what I'm doing and turn off all this shit. Nobody wants to do this. That's why the add-on is not as successful as it should be, because we have to sit here and do this on every fucking character, and that's why this add-on sucks. But when you do take the time to do this add-on is one of the most overpowered add-ons in the game. But no one takes the time to do this shit. So, you know, take it for what it is. Like, look at all this shit. Like, who fucking cares? Like, I don't care. I don't care that he did this shit. I can see this shit with my eyeballs. I don't need a fucking girl to tell me, you know, he lay on hands. No shit, his health just went from fucking nothing to full. Like, no shit. I don't need to know that the second scream. No shit, I'm already feared. Like, I already know that I'm feared. Like, why do I need fear? Like, why do I need her to say that? I already know. I'm already fucking feared. Obviously, he feared. You know, so... Anyways. That's the downside of this add-on. And a lot of people just download it and then they get spammed by this voice and they're like, this shit is terrible, and they turn it off. Well, yeah, because whoever created this add-on didn't turn all this shit off by default. If he turned all this shit off by default, though, we'd be sitting pretty. Okay, so here we are. We're finally down to shaman. We don't care about any of this shit at all. She is not even there. So the first shaman, everything's off. And then right here, right there, that's the only thing you want on. All the rest of this shit, who gives a fuck? No one cares. No one cares. I don't want to hear this little girl fucking screaming in my ear for all this shit. All I want to hear her say is that. That's all I want to hear is Counter-Strike Totem. I don't want to hear any of the rest of this shit. I don't give a fuck about any of this shit. So there we are, still going. Finally get to Warrior. At least you know when you see Warrior, you know you're almost done, right? So here we are. Took forever, but now it's set up. So I don't know why this fucking thing there. It won't go away. It will not go away. We're just stuck with this fucking thing. Oh yeah. Okay. Anyway, so as you can see, Warrior's off. Warlock's off. Shaman, that's the only thing. So this is for cast success instance. That's the only thing you want on. Everything else off. Everything else off. Off, 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 off. Everything 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 off. And then who cares about purges? Who cares about magic dispels? Who cares about non-magic dispels? We do want another trinketed. So there you go. So you have that clicked and only Counter-Strike code unclicked. And that's specifically for this tab. This tab, customize however you want. So if you can dispel, turn on shit you can dispel, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to know. As a target caller, I'm gonna have all the defensive turned on. If you're not a target caller, it's up to you. So however you do buff down, that's so you know you can go back to the target. So buff down is so you know when you can go back to your previous target. So if you're a healer, probably don't need to know any of this shit. Maybe only put on things that specifically apply to your CC that makes them immune to your CC. You might only want to have those things clicked. Like Spell Reflect, if you're going to try to Cyclone, you're going to want to know when Spell Reflect's up so you don't Cyclone yourself. But other than that, like most of this stuff, you could probably have turned on. And then buff applied, this is going to be the one, this is the most important one. This is going to tell you when shit happens. So you only want things that matter on. So like, yeah, it kind of matters you got anti-magic shell, right? That kind of matters. Kind of matters that they have Icebound Fortitude. Matters that they have Lichborn. But yeah, the rest of this shit, so see, like, we want to know when there's Innervate so we can get that dispelled. Most of it's off, but we want to know when there's Icy Veins or Ring of Frost, so we know to interrupt. We don't know when the Ice blocks, so we know to switch off them. We want to know when Cocoon to switch off them. So when you only have a handful of things, you're only going to hear a handful of things, and that's what makes the add-on so great. With everything enabled, it's just information overload and it's fucking useless. But when you only have a handful of things, you're good to go. So you finally did that. You took all the time. You got everything set up. Now you never want to do that again. So you go to profile. You hit new profile. I just call it setup. You hit OK. And now on your next character, all you gotta do is select setup. And you don't have to fucking deal with it ever again. So you take the time once, you set it up, and then if you have multiple characters, first time you log into that character, select your profile, you set it up for how that character is, and then make another one. Maybe call it Death Knight or something. And then that way, you don't have to fucking do this again. And then this add-on becomes invaluable. But if you don't take that however long it took us to go through that first time, if you don't do that, this add-on is completely fucking useless. But if you do that, and you save your profile, now you have one of the most overpowered profiles, one of the most overpowered add-ons in the game. And that brings us to a wrap. If you have any questions, reach out.